Breaking Justin Baldoni news, everybody. Justin Baldoni is too nice. What?
The real problem in this lawsuit with Justin Baldoni is actually the fact that he's too positive.
Someone said it was constant positivity all the time. I would say toxic positivity.
Where is this coming from? Toxic positivity? Are you kidding me?
Now, when most people talk about toxic workplaces, they mean insane deadlines, terrible bosses, and coworkers who make your life miserable. But apparently, in Hollywood, being too positive is now a problem. I am not kidding. A former employee of Justin Baldoni actually complained that he's so positive and it's toxic. I mean, what? Since when did kindness become a red flag? And remember last week when Blake's team was so proud to announce that they had hired a CIA guy, yes, a former CIA agent, to do some PR cleanup? The goal was to dig up dirt on Justin and flip the narrative because Blake and her team are desperate for any kind of scandal to stick. But after all that time, effort, and money, guess what they found? Nothing. The only thing they could come up with was, this guy is too positive. Yeah, that's what the former CIA agent came up with.
As we have learned, using their former CIA agents, that they've hired them, to convince the public that the real problem in this lawsuit with Justin Baldoni is actually the fact that he's too positive.
That's it. That's the scandal. Imagine paying someone to investigate a man and all they come back with is he's too nice. Like the man is so squeaky clean that they're now trying to weaponize kindness. You know you've run out of ideas when this is what you're pushing as your big expose. But let's talk about this former employee who's crying about Justin's toxic niceness. According to them, it all feels phony, like he's just using his kindness as a brand.
Employees who have worked at Justin Baldoni's production company, Wayfair, and there's mixed reports and mixed kind of experiences of people who worked with this team. So I have a quote board for you. Someone said it was constant positivity all the time. I would say toxic positivity. I'm always a little dubious of people who advertise themselves as disruptors of the status quo or quote unquote good people. It felt phony.
They even brought up the fact that he films himself helping the homeless, as if that somehow makes his good deeds less genuine. And let's not forget the biggest crime of them all. He made employees sign their emails with so much love. Oh my God, why would he terrorize his employees like that? I mean, can you believe the audacity? A boss who wants his employees to spread love and positivity? How dare he?
Former employees that refused to go on the record felt like he created a work environment that was toxic positivity. There was too much toxic positivity. He was too nice to everybody.
But let's be real. Hollywood is not used to people like him. They are used to power plays, backstabbing, and egos so big they can barely fit through the door. But Justin? He's just nice, and they don't know how to handle that. No matter how much drama Blake and her team threw at him, he just took it all in stride. And that's what's really bothering them. Take the rooftop scene, for example. Justin had a clear vision for it, but Blake and Ryan, they had their own ideas.
We worked together so much. The iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you now.
And instead of pulling rank or making a scene, what did he do? He let her have her way. They rewrote the whole thing, and he just accepted it. No ego, no tantrums, no fight. And to top it all off, at 2 a.m., he sent her a voice note thanking her for her input.
I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank, and I'm really sorry. I for sure fell short, and you worked really hard on that, and the way you framed it.
When it was time to decide which cut would be shown to the public, Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively each brought their own versions to the table. Both were tested, and surprise, surprise, Baldoni's cutout performed Blake's by a landslide. But instead of insisting on the better performing version, he let Blake's cut be used just to keep the peace.
Justin Baldoni's his version, his cut of the film, the Baldoni cut, I'll call it, scored significantly higher than Blake Lively's cut. And still Blake Lively's cut was the one that was chosen. He still didn't do anything publicly.
And let's not forget, he was the director. He had the final say. He could have easily overruled Blake and gone with his version, but nope. He chose to step back, all in the name of avoiding conflict and controversy. Now, if that's not next level niceness, I don't know what is. And just when you think it couldn't get crazier, let's talk about what happened at his own movie premiere. This man bought the rights to the book, directed the movie, starred in it, and when the big night came, when he should have been front and center, they sent him to the basement. Yes, you read that right. Instead of making a scene or demanding to be treated like the star he is, what did Justin do? He just went downstairs and made sure his guests had a great time because he didn't want Blake to create drama on the premiere night.
There's something so crazy to me about the fact that he bought the rights to make this movie and that this is where he ended up. In the basement with a bunch of water bottles. And it seemed they were making the most of it, kind of making fun of how horrible the situation was. But this is just so crazy to me that this was really his movie.
He wasn't even going to mention it until Blake and her team sued him, which forced him to bring it up. Well, I have to say, I agree. Justin really is too nice.
Doesn't want to say she's a liar, or doesn't want to say that's inappropriate, or doesn't want to say that's part of someone else's job. And he treats her very well about that.
And then there was the after party. Justin skipped the after party he paid for, his own party, just to avoid unnecessary drama. Because, of course, Blake and Ryan were there, and rather than risk any tension, he just threw another party. Can we just take a moment to acknowledge how insane this is? The fact that he had to leave his own celebration just to keep the peace? His patients should be studied in a lab. But let's get to the real mess. In spite of everything Blake Lively has done to him, even knowing in advance that he would be sent to the basement during the premiere, he still refused to speak ill of her. Instead, he praised her, calling her a true creative force to be reckoned with.
I'm grateful to Blake for just being a powerhouse of a performer and an amazing collaborator, and just all the people, the crew.
And if that wasn't enough, he even hinted that she could direct the sequel if she wanted to.
We do have It Starts With Us, so I'm hoping to see you back in the double duty role.
I think there are better people for that one.
Justin.
I think Blake Lively's ready to direct. That's what I think.
This is niceness overload. I think that Blake is also jealous of Baldoni's wife because he proudly gives all the credit to his wife. Standing in front of the camera, talking about how she stood by him throughout the movie shoot, took care of their kids, and made the whole project a success. He even went as far as saying that without her, the film wouldn't have been nearly as successful.
I just have my wife. None of this would have happened without my wife, who did that invisible work of being with the children while I was able to make this movie that doesn't get celebrated nearly enough. And I don't know, I'm just kind of speechless, and I'm just excited for it to be released in the world.
On the other hand, Blake's husband cannot stop downplaying and disrespecting Blake. Here's a man proudly giving his wife her flowers in front of the whole world. This is how it should be, but they are calling it toxic positivity? And let's talk about how deeply he feels things. This man broke down in tears because the theme of the book he adapted, reading about DV, hit him so hard. He literally couldn't hold back his emotions while reading it. That's how much it affected him.
I read it, and by the end of the book, I couldn't even read the text on the page because I was crying so much. My wife was in bed next to me, and she's got snot coming out of my nose.
And do you know how Blake felt after reading the book? Sorry, I can't tell you because she did not read the book. And for her, this move was like a rom-com. His kindness literally drove him to create something meaningful. Say what you want, but this man's heart is too big. And here's where Blake and her team really messed up. They forgot that Justin's kindness isn't just some PR stunt. It's literally part of his faith. As a devout Baha'i, being kind and treating people with love and respect isn't just something he does, it's who he is. And they are also having a problem with that. They say that Justin was too positive because of his faith, and because of that, they felt Justin was indirectly imposing his faith on them by being nice. Make it make sense? So turning around and calling it toxic positivity just proves that they were reaching for anything at this point.
And then we're attacking his Baha'i faith again. Like, the more they try to drag the Baha'i faith, the more I'm like, this really doesn't sound like that.
And let's be honest, the real problem isn't that Justin is too nice. The real problem is that Hollywood isn't used to men like him. They're used to people who scheme, manipulate, and throw others under the bus to get ahead. But Justin? He's out here sending 2 a.m. voice notes of appreciation, letting others rewrite his own work, and skipping his own parties to avoid drama. And now, after all this nonsense, Justin is just sitting back, waiting for his court date, about to walk away $400 million richer, while Blake and her team scramble to figure out their next week attack. Moral of the story? Be nice, but not too nice, or people might just call it toxic. And while you're here, please subscribe, because it's nice, and yeah, also because there is so much hidden about this whole drama that is about to come to light, and you'll be the first to know it. I will see you guys in the next video.